Greetings to all. The scripture reading from which this week's Point to Ponder arises comes from the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 through 35. One of the scripture passages appointed for the 15th Sunday after Pentecost. In the passage, Jesus tells a parable that goes something like this. There was a man who owed the king an exorbitant sum of money. But when the king tried to settle the account, the man could not pay. The man begs the king for mercy, promising that if the king will just have patience, he will begin to pay back everything as he is able. The king shows the man mercy and accepts his promise to pay the debt back over time. However, the man on his way out comes across a colleague who owes him money, a small fraction of what he himself had owed the king, and his colleague cannot pay. He begs for more time. But the man to whom the king had shown mercy has no mercy on the colleague who owes him, and he has his colleague thrown into debtor's prison. When neighbors hear about the situation, they go to the king and report what happened. The king is furious that the man to whom he had given another chance had learned nothing from his own experience of needing mercy. Life lessons are like that. We don't always make the connection between the experiences we have in life and the life lessons we need to learn from those experiences. Which leads us to our point to ponder for this week. Sometimes it takes more than once to learn a life lesson. My guest today is my friend Alvin Blount. Alvin and I have been friends for a long, long time, beginning back when he was the organist choir master and I was the assistant priest at St. Stephen's in Oak Ridge. Since that time, we've gone many different places, done many different things, and both have ended up back in Knoxville, Tennessee. So welcome, Alvin, and would you tell us just a little bit about yourself now?
Well, I'm Alvin Blount. I'm a native Georgian. I'm from Augusta, Georgia, where people love to play golf. And I was terrible at golf, so that's one thing I didn't pick up. And I met Gayle in 1991 when I became the organist choir master at St. Stephen's in Oak Ridge. And at that time, I was had come to graduate school late, a little late at the age of 28 to go to the University of Tennessee to do my master's in music, which I completed in 93 and continued to work at St. Stephen's 2 more years after that. But noticing that in my mother's aging process, I decided to move back to Georgia after spending 4 years in the Knoxville, Oak Ridge area. And I'm glad I did because I was able to take care of her for 11, almost 12 years before she passed. And stayed in Augusta at my job there, which is my hometown, as I said, for 22 years total. And now I'm back in Knoxville because in my old age, I've decided to go back to school. Because not that I don't love music and church anymore, it is truly one of my heartbeats to be in a liturgical environment musically. But I have decided that I want to add to that by studying to become a librarian now. So I was readmitted to UT and started online last January. So now I've moved back to Knoxville to be full-time, and I'm also part-time at Episcopal Church of the Good Shepherd in Fountain City.
You know, I mean, life is so funny. It takes so many different twists and turns, and that's pretty much related to the point to ponder for today. Mm-hmm. Our point to ponder for today is sometimes it takes more than once to learn a life lesson. What do you have to say about that?
It's taken me several times to learn that God is definitely in control. And he doesn't always realize that I would make a good secretary for him because I want to help him, especially when it comes to me, things in my life and my family and my friends. But it's it's helped me to realize that I've just got to have faith and go with it. I've got to be able to, I'm not one of these people that I don't want things yesterday. I want to work for it, but I still want to have a clear vision of what is going to happen in my future. And I want to feel the same way for my family and my friends and acquaintances. I want to help everybody, and I want to help me and whatnot. And it's just not that way. And I've had to learn to just go with it and pray about it and leave it there. Sometimes I don't. I'll still go pick it up again, and then he reminds me again, I'm working this, not you. You know, so that's what I've had to learn with several things throughout my 31 years as a professional church musician, and just several different opportunities that I wanted and projects that I wanted to try that did not come to fruition. And now that I'm looking back on it, I'm going, well, I see why.
Mm. Can you give me an example of what one of those projects might have been?
Applying for particular positions that I would make the cut for, but didn't get it. And I would leave in my thinking, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? And all that kind of stuff. And then later on, I learned some things about those positions that I did not know or did not want to know. And I'm eternally grateful that I didn't have that. I even got one position where I made good money, nice money, and I was so unhappy. And so this has helped me. Those experiences have helped me to ponder, to pray about it, tell him exactly what you want and what you need. Or what you would like, and how you see things, and you're just gonna have to leave it there, because I don't always, as good as I am at looking at the big picture of things, I always miss something. And that's an example.
Yeah,
good. You know, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. It brings to mind something I've read in one of Melody Beatty's books before. I've maybe Journey to the Heart. I'm not sure which one of them. But she's talking about the same thing about learning life lessons over and over again, and how we often don't realize we're learning a life lesson while we're learning it. And we want to know what's going on, but we just don't. And I wonder if you can talk about a little bit about what that feels when you're in the middle of something and you really can't see the end yet.
Oh, it's Lent, but it's not always happening during the season of Lent. It could be a 40-day period during any time of the year where you are just lost. And that's the reason why I brought up using Lent as my analogy. Is if Jesus went through it, well, of course, poor stupid me, I'm gonna have to go through it too. If you, it's just no cakewalk. It's just not gonna be a bed of roses following. And I've had to learn that sometimes that is beyond 40 days. It could be 4 years and not figuring some things out. And you just feel lost, and you just start going, okay, I'm done. I don't know what else to do. And sometimes when I do that, I really let go. And then sometimes, and that's when something clicks, something happens. My entrance to coming back to my second home of Knoxville was that way. I left that job making all that good money that I couldn't stand, and got a job not making enough money, but it was okay. But I loved it and loved the people. And they fed me spiritually when I was pretty low as far as my attraction to the church. They helped bring me back up. And then I had a little bit more free time on myself. So then I started looking for myself, rather. Then I started looking for things to do and started volunteering in an archive at a college for women in Atlanta, Spelman College, you might know of. And was just just enlightened to so much. And then I thought I would just go there to answer the phones, you know, shelve books. You know, I wanted to do something mindless. Well, they called my bluff and they put me on special projects. Then the more I did that, then they had me to do a presentation to some researchers who were coming to visit Spelman and Georgia State from all over the country, working on theses and dissertations and what have you. And that's when I realized, okay, well, what's going on now? And had no idea that it was leading to something else. So if it hadn't been for those bridges, that gave me a chance to ponder, okay, I'm existing, but I don't know what else to do with my existence. The closer I get to 60, you know, it was just kind of driving me crazy, like, okay, what to do now? You know, you just start getting anxious. And I didn't go out and buy a convertible car and have a midlife crisis. I was just trying to find something else to do with myself. And look what happened. Now I'm rehashing relationships with old friends, back in a familiar place that I enjoyed, studying new things, and still playing and working in the church. So this thing of having a circle, Lord knows I've gone through it. You know, so that says a lot. I hope it's not confusing, but that was just some examples to show the times that I've had to ponder what next. And I want to be able to do something that's going to be my little gift to society to help with some of our current problems with racism, the lack of love in the church. If whatever I can do to contribute to helping with that is what I want to do, then I'm fine. You know, that's what I want to do. And I think if it hadn't been for that last volunteer experience, as much as I just wouldn't have had that chance to be around history, feminism, gender studies, all of that type of stuff, I don't know if I would have had as much of an appreciation as I do now. I always did. It just enhanced it. So the last 3.5 years have been pondering in my season of Lent.
If you were going to talk to someone now who is sort of in the middle of that desert time, what would you say to them?
Don't rush it. Give yourself some time. Realize that it's a reason for that time. When my mother was sick, she had stroke after stroke after stroke. And I would just sit, and the more I watched her in that wheelchair, I would pray and say, okay, God, what is this? This is not her life. Because she was a very vibrant woman. I mean, you know, and then to see her not speaking at all in a wheelchair with one arm drawn up, that is so hard to watch. And I was going, why? But now that I look back on it, I wouldn't want to go through it again, but at the same time, it helped me to grieve. So when the time came, there was no grieving. It was nothing but resurrection as far as I'm concerned. If she had been taken like that, I would have had a problem. And the same thing I say about jobs, schools, or whatever. I've met people who've changed their major 5 times. So what? You know, maybe you needed to dibble and dabble in a few things before you figured yourself out. We all put ourselves on this timeline, and I come from a timeline family. You do this time, you do this time, you know. I mean, we always teased in my family that we picked out the suits that we were going to be buried in 30 years ago. You know, and I'm now realizing, oh, so what if I'm buried in a suit or a sack or potato sack? You know, who cares? You know, so it's help. So what I would tell someone is give yourself time, because that time is for a reason. I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying I know it's there for a reason.